Today I was playing Anno 1800, a long-term save I've been building for quite some time. Just pick at it a little bit here and there, and the empire grows larger. In any case, today we are here in a little island called Olympia, and it looks just about like any other island you might see in the game. Simple farmers live here, but the interesting thing about it was I got to thinking to myself, what if you had some vegan farmers? They don't consume meat and they don't use animal products. Then what would this island of hippies look like? And would we be able to make that work within the framework of Anno 1800? So I made this island, and it's got about 1,600 farmers living on it. The only major distinction is they don't use animal products. So the first obstacle we encountered here is that they cannot have fish to eat. And since they cannot eat fish, that means they cannot level up to the next population level. But they are, after all, hippies, and so it would stand to reason that they would continue to live their lives as farmers. But the other part of the goal here is for them to be a sustainable, profitable part of the broader empire. So what we wound up doing is we let them grow hops, which will be exported elsewhere for the purpose of making beer, and they grow fruit for the purpose of making jam, some of which they consume and some of which they export. Then we meet their lifestyle needs, and those lifestyle needs, beyond basic happiness, are going to be flour and sugar and herbs and hibiscus, which is imported from the Africa region of the game. And if we go over there, we can go pop over to the New World, which is where herbs come from. And here we have another new colony over here on the other end of the world, which is growing lavender there. So we have lavender fields, and they just popped up on the other side of the world because we couldn't feed our farmers fish because they don't eat fish. And so we make them happy in a different way, in this case by importing lavender from a faraway land. And so it turns out, with a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, we build a commuter pier over here, and that commuter pier allows these 1,600 farmers to freely go work elsewhere in our empire. And as they go out to better themselves in the world, that allows some of the farmers that live maybe in the big city to upgrade themselves and to help contribute to the ever-growing, expanding metropolis across the bay. Then back home, we have a profitable island here. An island with farmers that do not eat fish, which is very much counterintuitive to the way the game is supposed to be played. It's just a bit of an interesting thought experiment. And yet, it is profitable. We're making 1,200 coin per month on these fish eschewing farmers. So the end of the story is this, that we have farmers and they don't eat fish, and the fact they don't eat fish results in lavender fields blooming on the other side of the world. It results in new trade routes, and despite the fact it's a rather unorthodox way to live, perhaps they still manage to contribute meaningfully to the economy at large. And I thought that was just a pretty interesting kind of an allegory, if you will, because it shows how even if you want to say that, you know, people are different and they can't contribute meaningfully, well, the truth is, and everyone can find a place in the world, a place in the economy where they can contribute to the world around them. And maybe there's a lesson in there about the importance of diversity and tolerance and acceptance. There's a notion in our society that maybe if people are different, they don't have a place in the world, that everyone needs to kind of conform to a specific way of living, a specific pursuit that is supposed to lead to success and happiness and being a productive member of society. And so everyone's supposed to kind of follow the same basic progression path. Of course, it's the same thing probably in any game of choice. There's always a correct way to play. But what happens if you color outside the lines? What happens if you play your way and don't necessarily expect that you're going to conform? Does that mean that you can't be successful? Not really. Because the truth is, there's always somebody else that's going to be what you're not. You might not be a great leader. Someone else is going to be obsessed with leadership. You might not be a meat eater, but for every vegan, there's plenty of steak lovers. You see, the world is just fine because there's always someone else that's going to do the things that you aren't. You don't have to try to be everything that the world expects you to be, because there's plenty of people in the world to balance it all out. There's a passage in Marcus Aurelius's Meditations I was just reading. He says, frequently consider the connection of all things in the universe and their relation to one another. For in a manner, all things are implicated with one another, and all, in this way, are friendly to one another. For one thing comes in order after another, and this is by virtue of the active movement and mutual conspiration and the unity of the substance. Neither the labor which the hand does, nor that of the foot, is contrary to nature, so long as the foot does the foot's work, and the hand the hand's. So then neither to a man as a man is his labor contrary to nature, so long as it does the things of a man. But if the labor is not contrary to his nature, neither is it an evil to him. Dost thou not see how the handicraftsmen accommodate themselves up to a certain point to those who are not skilled in their craft? Nevertheless, they cling to the reason of their art and do not endure to depart from it. Essentially, I think what he's saying there is different people do different things. There's the architect and there's the physician, and both of them are ignorant of each other's work, the principles of each other's handiwork. And yet, because they respect each other and they don't expect each other to have the same skills or passions or interests, that is what makes each other's work complementary. We don't need to all be on the same path in order to all be part of the same community that works together to make the world what it is. And it is ultimately a beautiful place to be. So, regardless of what path you choose, whether you want to be a hippie or a magnate, remember that there is a place in the world for you, just as you are. As always, best of luck on your adventure. Till next time, thanks so much for watching.